Tonight we're talking about The Last House, Netflix's latest movie production. It's got all the star power that you would hope to make a good movie. But is it really? Stick around to find out. This is Eerie Horror Stories. Directed by Leterrier, The Last House, it begins with a family that seems to be trapped inside of a house during some sort of alien invasion. The film stars Greta and Wagner Moura as they lead this family. Wagner has sort of made a big splash lately, through Netflix mostly. He was also in Narcos. He plays Pablo Escobar. That's really what put him on the map. And since then, he's gone on to receive nominations for Academy Awards both in the United States and in Brazil. So he's got a lot of success. And when you slap someone on a film like The Last House with that sort of star power behind them, you get really excited. You start to think, this movie's got something behind it because I can trust this guy. He's going to act well and I'm going to be scared. However, I think the being scary part really got lost in the sauce of this film because nothing seems to be going on for about the first 40 minutes, which is way too long. That's just too much time for the audience to settle into this family. It seems like there's really no urgency or danger happening. Once this family gets trapped inside and once they know it's too dangerous to go out, they just sort of flip on the happy switches and are like, okay, well, I guess we'll just enjoy this nice little vacation in our home. We'll never get sick of each other. And we'll really look for the positives. Where's the silver lining in this situation? And that's really all it is for the first 40 minutes, minus one really funny scene where when the family realizes that they're trapped, there's this storm. They find out that they're stuck inside. And so they all go up to this really big old window and they start just, help, 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 help. And then this woman, she's jogging by and they're like, we can't get outside, help, help, it's dangerous, get inside. She's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's a bit of a bizarre situation because you never really feel this outside pressure. You are just sort of inside this home looking outwards and everything looks fine. A lot of the lighting and music just did not make sense to me. It didn't really compound the panic and the horror of the film and highlighted something else, which was cheeriness and joyfulness and happiness, because you're getting these really sunny shots, right? There's always these really bright, beautiful yellow beams of sunlight. There's this really happy background music that seems to be playing. You know, everyone's smiling and they're not arguing like you get in a lot of horror movies. They're compromising. They're getting along. And that just sort of lingers for way too long. And what I think is really happening here is something that Netflix does a lot in their productions. The way they do is data-driven decision making. A lot of the time, you're getting scenes that they know are going to resonate with the audience because they have a huge catalog film viewership data that tells them when audiences are most engaged. Because a lot of these films, they're already on the platform. You're already signed up. You're already a paying customer. They don't need necessarily more money. They need more viewership data, more analytics from you watching this movie to measure so that they know what to put in their next production. And we see this a lot. One of the biggest telltale signs of this was when the family's stuck inside is this crazed woman runs up to the window and just starts like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm in danger. And she's holding a knife. And when you see that sort of visual, you know, this deranged looking woman, seems to be having some sort of blood on her hand. She's holding a knife. She's out in the middle of the rain when she shouldn't be. She's banging on your window. That's immediate slasher territory. That's buzzing out all, you know, Mike Myers and Jason Voorhees type things. But this is an alien movie. This isn't a slasher film. So this scene just feels very forced. It just felt very data driven. We need some sort of dangerous moment. Just put in a random woman who makes people think of horror. Another example of data-driven decision-making in this film is through the dog, who plays the most useless role I've ever seen a dog play. It's just a dog. And suddenly they have to kill the dog. Something about his medicine running out or something like that. But this is a spry dog. There's no indication that this dog is sick at all. In the beginning of the film, near the middle, and when it's killed. It's so obvious that this is data driven, because how do you get an audience to feel more emotional, to really connect better with your film? The dog dies. That is one of the most cliche, obvious tricks in the book. If a dog dies, a lot of people in the audience tend to connect to that animal a lot more than any of the characters. It's just in any film. And in this film, they kind of do that. We're like, okay, well, once we get the dog dead, we know that's going to have an emotional payoff. But we don't really get a scene that is this sort of mercy killing, so sad, boo-hoo, uh-oh, this is terrible sort of thing. No, we get the guy playing Pablo Escobar just straight up holding a gun, angled just behind his shoulder, and you can see down the barrel of his gun pointing at the dog. This is not a mercy killing. This is straight up execution scene. And that's Pablo Escobar about to blow this dog's brain. They just sort of went with the easy, lazy way out. Okay, just off the dog. And then they try to spin it like they're using the dog's remains to go like animal fishing. But what I thought was one of the clearest data-driven decisions was this weird pot smoking scene that sort of came out of nowhere. Nothing about this family speaks stoner to me. In fact, they're the kind of family that would probably freak out if you brought weed into their home. But after 2 years, this guy, he just kind of looks at his wife and is like, hey, by the way, look what I got. There's like, oh man, let's spark up. Y'all are trapped inside a house and nothing can open. That smoke is going to go into your kids' rooms and they're going to very quickly notice that someone's burning some reefer. They don't notice at all. They don't come down like, hey, I think something's burning. It smells a little dank down here. It doesn't make sense. But the reason why this felt like a data-driven decision was because Netflix already knows that cannabis content is very popular on their platform. There's all kinds of pot-related cooking shows and weird pot-related, comedies and stuff like that. And this is coming from their production team, not necessarily like they're just pulling Cheech and Chong and putting it on their list. They know that stoners like to light up and then sit on the couch and turn on a little bit of Netflix. So here we get another one. Just, okay, well, the dog dying wasn't enough. The random slasher wasn't enough. Let's put in a pot smoking scene. Maybe that's enough. But then they really do something that truly irritated me. This film decided that at its best jump scare near the end of the film, this woman, she's crawling through a pipe in the sewer under a house for whatever stupid reason. You can't really figure out what's going on by this point in the movie. She stumbles upon this body that just sort of pops up. And right as it pops up, I'm not gonna lie, I thought the art design of this body was really well done. However, when this thing pops up out of the water and you're like, oh my God, that's so scary, it suddenly clips. It's like they decided to put in this tone change and you get this lost footage filter on top of everything, and everything starts just getting really static. Why are we doing lost footage? Nothing about this movie is lost footage. There's not a single hidden camcorder that gets picked up. There's not a single phone that they start analyzing and going through. This sudden tone change where we have this effect applied over what's probably the scariest part of the film, and it just reads so much as re-engagement. Like, oh, it was a jump scare, but we had to minimize it, but we still wanted it to be scary, so lost footage clipping. And if anything, it kind of broke the only moment of the film where it even attempted to be kind of spooky. The funniest part of this film, though, is when the family confronts one of these aliens. I guess by the end of the movie, we just sort of accept, I think they're aliens. We're just going to go with that. One of them is sort of trapped. He's captive under some rubble or something like that, and they kind of help free him against their better judgment. And once they free the monster, he doesn't really pursue them, sort of lets them go. And then the family goes outside, you know, like, oh, it's been 7 years. Suddenly, these other aliens like, we're gonna get you. The trapped alien that they just helped comes out like, roar. And I guess that's their way of saying, don't hurt them. They freed me. They're chill. Doesn't make any sense why this race of monsters who is destroying the planet, killing everybody, and keeping these people trapped for 6, 7, 8 years, why they suddenly just flip attitudes and, oh, actually, they're pretty chill. I got stuck under that rock. Because it just breaks the motivation of these monsters, which there is none. Then it gets a little hair worse because now it seems like this family is impervious to the alien threat and they want to like row their boat across this water world now. You know, watch out, Kevin Costner. Instead of like year 5 or 5 years later, or year 6, year 7, it's like day 1. Bruh, are you really trying to give us a cliffhanger? Were there other aliens trapped under rocks that other random people helped free and were given the same compassion pass where they're not going to be horribly murdered? In conclusion, The Last House gets a 1 creepy skull out of 4. I wasn't too impressed, but if you were, let us know down below. This has been Eerie Horror Stories.